Hi, and thanks for watching. Today's topic is going to be how to determine if a property is a great wholesale deal or not. So the first thing that you need to know about wholesaling is that wholesaling is not only just for the investor's benefit, but it's also to your benefit to do as much research as possible in order to find out the best deals for your investors who will actually be purchasing these properties from you. So whenever you are looking for properties, you want to present them in a way that it takes less pressure or time off of the actual investor. So one of the things that you want to focus on first is going to be determining the after retail value of the property. You want to take a look at all of the different comps that are going to be in the area of the specific property that you're trying to sell. You want to compare apples with apples. For example, you want to compare houses that are 3 bedrooms and 2 baths with other 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. You don't want to have 6 bedrooms and 3 baths that you're actually comparing the pricing to. So you want to make sure that you're comparing apples and apples, houses and houses that are the same. Okay. Now, you also want to determine the time period. So you don't want to compare a 2024 or a 2000s house to something that was built in the 1970s. You also want to look for properties that have been sold within the last 3 to 6 months. Knowing the correct ARV or as close to the specific ARV can drastically increase your chances of being able to sell it to a buyer. Now, most often, investors are going to have plenty of questions before they actually go and actually take a look at the property. So before you do that, you want to make sure that you take plenty of pictures and you want to estimate or guesstimate the amount of cost that they will actually have. You want to pay attention to the age and the deterioration of the roof. You want to take view of the HVAC. These are huge items that could actually cost the buyer significant cost. So you want to make sure that you have all this information and armed with all of this information before you actually try and sell this property to a buyer. You also want to take into consideration any cosmetic updates. For example, the kitchen and the bathrooms are the most important places where they'll actually have to do a lot of work in. So you want to make sure that you have a guesstimation of these costs. And once you have a guesstimation of these costs, then that's going to go into part of your calculations. So the next thing is going to be that you're going to make use of the 70% rule. So for example, if a property has an ARV of $200,000 and repair costs are estimated at $30,000, then you're going to take the $200,000, multiply it times 70%. That gives you a total of $140,000. $140,000 minus $30,000 is $110,000. This is the maximum price that you should be able to offer. Following this rule will help you protect your profit margin when negotiating with sellers. You also need to make sure that you add your assignment fee as part of it before you actually present this over to the buyers. So we may say, for example, this property is available for sale for $120,000. That gives us a $10,000 assignment fee that we can actually put in our pockets. This gives room for the buyer because they're getting a $200,000 property for $120,000. The next thing you want to do is assess your seller's motivation. You want to target sellers that are maybe possibly going through pre-foreclosures, divorces, probate, tax issues, tax liens, etc. You want to also analyze market conditions. Market conditions can have a huge play on whether or not you're going to actually be able to sell it to an investor who can actually flip the property or actually buy and hold the property, whatever the investor actually wants to do. But you want to take that into consideration because that also affects you as well. Because if they're aiming to flip the property, a $200,000 house that they're getting for $120,000, are they trying to actually sell this? It just depends on the market. So if the market is slow right now, then they may not be able to sell it. But of course, it's ultimately up to the buyer to make that decision. But you also want to be aware of the market conditions because that's going to affect whether or not you actually get a sale or not. So you want to take these different items that I've mentioned to you into consideration before you actually decide on whether a property is actually a good buy or not, or if you're going to be able to actually move it or sell it or not. Again, with property wholesaling, you're not actually purchasing it yourself. You're actually assigning the contract that you have with the seller over to the buyer. So I hope this information helps you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. If you find the information in this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.